To build a 2-box and utilize different methods, we're going to cover that now in this segment. So normally when I build my 2-box effects, I obviously build it 1 ME above when I have more than 1 ME. Of course, I could go 2, 3 above. But since we are going to build this as an effect that can be recalled, we're going to build it today on ME3. So here on ME3, we are going to build our first box. So the easiest thing to do is to take key 1, and I set it to a preset pattern. And we're going to cut the keyer on, and we'll pick our first source that we want. So in this case, camera 1. When we squeeze this back down, we've now got our box in its position, and we can then do a second box. Now, one of the things that we have is the ability to copy keyers. So if I hold down destination, key 2, select button, and I tap the key select button from key 1, it copies the keyer and all of its parameters in. So now when I turn it on, it's in the exact same location. I can slide it off so they're the exact same size, and then go ahead and change the source inside of that keyer. Now, obviously I've built a simple 2-box here. We can go ahead and apply anything into the background. Like for example, we'll pick our ME store in channel 1 and look for something that we can use as the background. I can also go ahead and link these keys using the position control link. And by selecting this, I now have 2 linked areas so that I can manipulate these 2 DVEs together with the exact same parameters. Now, if I wanted to apply a border to these, that allows me to do 2 simple border types. First, in the keyer, in the DVE menu, I can call up the border menu. So this border, when we apply a size, this is being applied at the DVE level. So this is a DVE picture frame border. So and if we select key 2, bring up its border, go ahead and give it the exact same size, 1%, we can see that we've applied that picture frame border. Now, if what we wanted was a drop shadow border, which we can have in addition, then in our keyer, we just select it and turn on the border generator. Now, there's the outer border, which is an outer border edge from within the border generator, or we can also enable the shadow mode. So here we've created a drop shadow, and we want to position that drop shadow off of the key. So now we'll go to key 2, turn on the drop shadow generator, select shadow as well, and then we can go ahead and position it off of the key and place it wherever we want. Of course, to make this a little bit easier, I might have wanted to go to my border menu here, and I could have copied and come in here and paste all. So now it's shifted to the other side. So simply on the horizontal, I can just type in -0.9 and jump it to the other side. So now we have equal-sided borders and drop shadows. So now that I've created this 2-box effect, I'm going to want to store this as a memory. And we'll want to set our attributes as well. So I call up my attribute, and I want to make sure that all the keyers recall with their sources, and I make sure to recall my still stored channel of channel 1. Now I don't necessarily need to change channel 2, 3, or channel 4. So we're going to leave those disabled, so it will only affect channel 1 of ME3's ME stores. The background we want to change, and the rest of the items are also able to be changed. Now what I could do to set this up is I could also enable, and if I look at ME3 preview, if I enable the background and the keyers, and I put one of those sources into the background, now this sets me up so that I would be able to cut, after recalling the effect, between the 2 box, that person full, back to the 2 box, that person full, back to the 2 box. So it doesn't hurt in my memory to set up the effect so that it's ready for a place to go next. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to store that to memory number 8. And we'll call this my 2 box. Now, one of the other things we may want to do is, instead of cutting between these, we might want to apply some kind of a slide or an effect. So in doing that, to bring one of the people full, it's also nice to then build 2 additional memories, left full and right full. And normally I put them to the left or right. So I chose memory 8, so it was a centered memory that was empty. And I'll put left full in 7, and I'll put right full in 9. So the easiest way to deal with this is I like to take one of the keys and I like to move it off screen so it subtly moves off screen so it looks a little bit nicer. And then I grab key 1 and I go ahead and I jump its position to full so that it's full screen. The other thing I'm going to want to do is make sure that the border is set to 0. So this is the picture frame border. So as you can see, when it comes full, we want it to also shrink the border down. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to store that into memory 7. And we'll call that left. Full. So we can quickly just recall 8, and that will get us back to our 2 box. So now we can grab key 1, we can slide key 1 off air, then we can grab key 2, center key 2, go to key 2's border, and let's set that to 0. And now we do the exact same approach of storing that into 9, and then naming it and now we have a name. So now when we look at these memories, we can cut between the cameras, and if we enable our effects dissolve in the key or in the ME memory control area, now when we recall those, now we can have a nice slide effect. Now, one of the things that we've done is with those attributes, we are forcing the sources using these cross points. So now, anytime we recall that memory, it will change the source that's in that box. So what I wanted to do was be able to do these and use these same 2 memories, or well, 3 memories, to move these same 2 boxes, but be able at any time to change the source. What we can do is apply that via the key control. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off the sources in the attributes. And now we're going to store this back over top of itself. And then we're going to recall the left box full. You'll notice that in the attribute menu, this memory was stored with those cross points selected. So obviously, we do have a problem in that it would have forced them back to these sources. So we just want to turn these off. Now, one other trick we're going to use right now is you'll notice that the key cell all the way over here on the right is enabled. So this will make sure that the memory will change what the key selection is looking at. So the key module as well as the key delegation bus. So since the left box, which is key 1, is full right now, we might be changing what's in the right box to slide in a different presenter. So what we can do is, for this memory, we want to make sure that we're on key 2. So now in our attribute, so now that we have the key cell enabled and those cross points disabled, we'll be able to always on this memory when it's full, be able to select what's in the box that is off screen. So let's go ahead and store that over top of itself, now that we've set those settings. So now when we recall 8, now we've got our 2 box. We see in our attributes in the menu system, we see that it maintained those two cross points selections of it won't change them. So now let's recall the right box full, and we're going to do the reverse of what we did in the left box full, or memory 7. In that, what we're going to do in the attribute menu is we're going to disable key 1 and key 2, and we want the key cell to this time be for key 1, which is what is off screen. So we've selected key 1 in the key or control area, which also delegates the key bus row. So now in attributes, we're set, won't change the cross points. It'll make sure to recall that we want key 1, which is the off air channel. And now we're going to store that over top. So what we have going for us now is I could change what's in that other box that's off screen to a different source or a remote. And now when we go to the 2 box back, that different source is in there. Now we're going to slide that source full, and we've thrown to the tennis match. So now the tennis match is in. And as soon as we went to that memory, the keyer area stayed and flipped from key 1 to key 2, or the off-air box. So now on this row, I can change what source is feeding into that box. So now as this venue is wrapping up and we're going back into the studio and they're throwing down to our soccer pitch, so we go ahead and get into game action down at the soccer pitch. So this is one of the ways in which we can use the memory system and the DVE box effects to give us that nice seamless slides, cuts. At the same time, if we turned off effects dissolve, we could simply cut between those 2 different boxes. So now changing to a different source in that other box, going back to the 2 box, coming back up to it, changing that other box, so when we go back to the 2 box, and coming back into the studio. So this is one of the examples of how to perform a 2 box effect. And because of all the keyers you have in the ME, this could be done with a 4 box effect or a 6 box effect. And as you can see, you can emulate these same types of looks and functions. Well, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to look at the 2 box effect and how it can be used. If there's any other ones that you'd like to see done, please feel free to write us at switchers@rossvideo, and we'll look at getting those done. Thanks again, and see you in the next segment.